Alright, enough theory, let's get our hands dirty. In this video, we'll deploy a VPC along with networking resources needed to support our ECS service and load balancer. The only prerequisite is that you have an AWS account ready to go. Be sure to remove all resources once you're done to avoid unnecessary charges. Here's a diagram of the infrastructure we're about to deploy. This setup is designed to create a secure and highly available system. We'll be working with 2 private subnets and 2 public subnets. We'll place our ECS tasks into the private subnets, which means they will not be directly exposed to the public internet. If they need to access the internet, for example to download a dependency package, the traffic will first go through the NAT Gateway, then to the Internet Gateway, and finally out to the vast waters of the public internet. Okay, so let's create our VPC. Open your AWS account and then click VPCs, or just navigate to its page, and then you'll see Create VPC button. So click it. We only need VPC for now. Let's give it a name, something simple like ECS-self-signed-VPC. Let's give it a CIDR, something like this, and we are good to go. Our VPC will need access to internet, so now let's create an internet gateway. Let's click on Create Internet Gateway. Let's create a name tag, something like ECS-self-signed-internet gateway, and that should be enough. Okay, now that we have created our internet gateway, you can see that it's been in the detached state, so we need to attach it to our VPC. And that's done. Okay, now we can start creating our subnets. If you remember, we were about to create 2 public and 2 private subnets. So let's start with the public ones. You need to click Create Subnet. Then you choose our VPC. Let's give it a name. I'm in London, so I put it into EUS2A, but you can choose the region that is closer to you. So the CIDR block would look something like this. And that's our first public subnet. Let's create one more in the availability zone B. Now we can start creating private subnets. It's same procedure for now, really. To make it highly available, we need to put it into 2 different availability zones, one in A, one in B. And last one. that is it. Now we need to think how we are going to route traffic in these 4 subnets. So let's go to the route tables. As you can see, one route table has been created by default when we created our VPC. So if we click on it and look for subnet associations, we see that all of our subnets are associated with it, which is a default behavior. So let's use this route table as the public one, and then we are going to create another one for private subnets. So let's create a route. And this route will be directing all traffic to our internet gateway. This way we'll be connected to the internet. Now let's give our public route table a meaningful name. And let's create another route table for our private subnets. Here it is. So let's associate it with our private subnets. And let's do the same for our public subnets. We need to associate it with the public route table. Okay, now we need to do the same for the private route table. We need to create a route that would be directing all traffic to NAT Gateway, which reminded me that we still haven't created it. But to create a NAT Gateway, we need to allocate an elastic IP first. So let's start with that. Choose your region, and then you allocate it. So it's quite simple, really. Next thing, we can create NAT Gateway. Let's name it. We need to put it into a public subnet. Let's put it into the subnet B. Select our elastic IP. And that's done. So going back to our private route table, we click on Edit Routes. And we add a route saying that all traffic should go to our NAT gateway. Nice. If you're not familiar with networking, traffic from the private subnet will go to the NAT gateway, which will be translating the private IPs into the public ones, and from there it will be forwarded via the internet gateway to the public internet. That's how our ECS tasks will be connecting to the internet. So this should be it. We have deployed our VPC with 4 subnets, then we configured the route traffic for it, and now we should be ready to deploy our ECS target and load balancer. See you in the next video.